welcome to the Nightly Draw. It's the Nightly Draw, of course, for July 17th, 2017. Glad you're here, whether you're watching live or on the replay. Getting off to a good start with with the Hold Open. I did not have it on this computer. So, anyway, glad you're here. How the heck are you doing? I'm Broadcast Operations Center here in stately Lotshaw Manor, as opposed to Studio B, where we were on Friday. That was fun, doing that on Friday. I went over there and did the stuff on the other computer. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. Yeah, I forgot to load the new Open onto this computer because we're back on the laptop instead of on the big computer. And oh well, there it is. But anyway, how's it going? Hope you had a good weekend. I had a pretty good one. Yeah, Friday we had quite a few technical problems. I still don't know what was going on over there. But there's just another thing to add to the list of things that I'm kind of miffed at YouTube about. We had a problem with the the microphone's working. That's my problem, not YouTube's. But we had had all the problems with the streaming yesterday off of what should have been a more powerful computer, and I don't know what was going on there. Then there's all the problems with the monetization and all of that. I just don't know what was going on. We did some tests. Tom and I did some tests Friday night after we went off the air and did a test stream over on Picarto TV. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a streaming service, kind of like Twitch, but instead of being for gamers, it's for artists. And I'm thinking about doing a test over there with Nightly Draw. If I do, you're definitely going to want to remember this right here, the new show URL, bit.ly.nightlydraw. You start using that. Put it back up. That bad boy will take you to wherever the show is going to be done that day. So if we're gonna do it on Picardo, use that URL. It will automatically take you to Picardo. If it's going to be on YouTube, it'll be here. Now I'll try to make announcements as best I can and let you know in advance when we're going to be moving over and doing the test on Picardo, or a move permanently to Picardo if possible. If it works out. Picardo, as I said, it's more oriented towards artists. It has it's like Twitch. It's a streaming service, and it has better and easier to use monetization built into it, which I like. Obviously, if you remember my rant from the other night. So, James, I'm not going to even. I'm not going to. That's too dangerous for me to wade into that question. I am not going to wade into that one. But anyway, remember, bit.ly/nightlydraw. That will take you to wherever the show is being done. Just keep it and give that to your friends. Let them know. Tell them about it. Because you know how much fun we have here, and they can join in on the fun too. So let's see. I need to mark that off because I just mentioned that and mentioned that. New copies of Accidental Centaurs #1 and #9, which is Accidents Happen and Negative Spaces, are on their way. I just got the notification today that the printers had printed them up and they are being shipped. I got a tracking number and everything. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm really looking forward to getting those and having those. And I will make them available. Of course, they're available for sale. That's why I have them. That's why I bought them, was to sell them. I didn't get to it this weekend. I was going to work on the site and set up store.accidentalcentaurs.com. But I need to make a note that I need to get cracking on that. Centaurs. I've only been writing the thing out for almost 20 years now. But yeah, we're gonna have a little store there where you can have buttons to click to buy various books, take you to the Lulu links, or for the comic books, directly buy them directly from me. Okay. Oh, tomorrow's Total Request Tuesday. Don't forget. Don't have anything planned. At least I don't, because I take your requests. So be thinking about what you might want, and we'll go from there. And but yeah, that's going to be tomorrow. It's always interesting because I never know what I'm going to end up drawing. Well, you know what? It's that time of the show again. You know what time it is? It's time for the button not to work. Good grief. Okay, it's the shameless capitalism, but it's not loading for some reason. I know you're all very disappointed, but you know what? There's that. Patreon.com/Accidental Centaurs. Hey, $5 a month is where the fun starts. New pages will be going up, and in fact, that's what we're going to work on. I'm going to work on tonight. Is drawing is inking some pages for that, but those go up exclusively to the patrons, and at the $30 level and up is where NSFW Friday starts. Oh, that's another thing about Picarto, is that there's a NSFW flag on the show, so that I can flag a show if I'm going to draw. If I'm going to draw something that is not safe for work, like we're doing magic globage, as it were. I can flag that so that it's not for the kitty winkies. So there's that. That's another advantage of Picarto. But anyway, yeah, very important part of keeping this alive and keeping this on the air. So, now I want to get I got to get the commerce out of the way, because I got to make people sit through it. And it's basic broadcasting. If I put it at the end of the show, everybody knows it's the end of the show. They're not going to sit through it, because you want to sit through and get to the good stuff. So I'm trying to get through it as fast as I can. Facebook.com/Accidental Centaurs. That's where you find out information about the strip, what's going on, and these shows, things like that. Oh, by the way, did you get a chance to see the new show, the speed draw that I did? That was that went up on the YouTube channel. That was fun to do. I really enjoyed doing that. Okay, Etsy original art's available, commissions available. Go check that out, and please buy something, because I got this stuff all over the place, and I really would like to give it a good home. So then we move on to, and we got the books. The books are full color books, collecting stories. At Volume 1 is the first 3 stories. Volume 2 is Dictating the Course. They are full color, print on demand. There's also digital versions that are a little more cost effective as well, because we're not having to ship out atoms, only bits, which are the pretty much the same. We've got they're full color, and they are very nicely done, and they are available at Lulu. And then there is Dragon Con, which is coming up September 1st through 4th. At here in Atlanta, at the Atlanta Merchandise Mart, which is where we will be, Building 3. That's always fun. I always enjoy that. And we're going to be next to Bill Holbrook and Tom Heinches from Hogan's Alley, and that's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great weekend. So if you're in the Atlanta area, please come by and check that out. Always going to have fun doing that. Okay, yeah, the speed draw. Yeah, I was set up over there. And I thought, what the heck? Let's do this as an experiment, give it a try. I finished the page that I started with My brain hurts. Oh, Lair of the Insectars, page 14. I started showing you how I was doing the inking in Clip Studio Pro. Well, I finished inking it in the speed draw, and I then took it into Photoshop and colored it. And it's an hour and a half worth of material compressed down into 5 minutes, and I narrate it. So you're not gonna have to sit through. I mean, an hour and a half of this is bad enough. An hour and a half of me coloring, but I sped it up. The video is about 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes long, something like that. Go check it out over here on the YouTube channel. I don't have the URL right handy, but I will. I'll put it in the show notes. I've always wanted to say that. I always say I'll just put it in the show notes. So, yes, and I will do more of those. And in fact, I'm probably, that's kicking off a series that I have been thinking about doing ever from the very beginning of the realizing that I wanted to do the podcast, which was to do a cartooning podcast and to do speed draws, do tutorials, and interviews with cartoonists. So tips and tunes coming, even more of it coming soon. All right. So now we got shameless commerce out of the way. We got all that done. Let me get some paper and start drawing. I saw. Let's see. Here we go. This is a page we started earlier, and I'm just going to start inking it. You were asking, yeah, but that's a different show. Yes, that different show is Good Eats. Oh, geez, I'm out of paper towels over here. That is not good. Which one of these pens do I want to use? I'm going to use this one. Get it cleaned off. I saw somebody asking about my thoughts on the new Doctor Who. I've been a Doctor Who fan for a long time. I started watching the show in 1983. And, the whole thing about, if you ask me, the whole thing about all the quote-unquote controversy about a female doctor is, it's a tea in a tempest in a teapot. Tempest in a tea in a tempest pot. No, tempest in a teapot. There we go. The doctor's an alien. The doctor can be whatever the writers want him to be, and they've been teasing a female doctor since the Tom Baker regeneration. Since Tom Baker regenerated, that's when that whole thing got started. Was he at the press conference when he announced it? He said basically, I want to wish the best of luck to whoever takes the part, whoever he or she may be, and then immediately ducked out before the press could get and left the producer in the lurch. But it was John Nathan Turner, so you know what, that's okay. I actually got to meet John Nathan Turner once. It was, what year was this? I was still in college, so it might have been 80. Let's see. When did Sylvester McCoy come on board? 87? Was it 87 that McCoy came on board? There was this at the time, Doctor Who was distributed by a company called Lionheart Television, which was a subsidiary of Time Life. Don't ask me why I know this stuff. I just do. They had a traveling exhibition of props and memorabilia from the Longleat exhibition, which is a Longleat was it in Blackpool? I think it was. It was an exhibit hall in one of the British vacation towns.
and they had, for the longest time, they had a Doctor Who museum there in the 70s and the 80s. And this exhibition, it was a truck and kind of a little walkthrough thing, and there was a Dalek in there, and there was Cybermen, and there was a mock-up of the TARDIS, and there was some of the costumes from the various Doctors, and I was with a group in Athens, Georgia. It was the UGA and local fan club called it was called Athens Area Time Lords, and we took a trip down to Atlanta to the studios of Georgia Public Broadcasting, which was the station that ran Doctor Who in Georgia at the time, and they because we were gonna do the Begathon. We were gonna answer phones for the Begathon, and this truck was also in town that weekend, so we went over and saw it, and then we went over to the studios of the public broadcasting network, Georgia Public Television at the time, and John Nathan Turner was there, and so was John Pertwee. So I got to meet John Pertwee and get an autograph, and as well as, and I got to meet two Doctors that night because I'm moving around a bit as I'm trying. So I'm trying to the microphone's very directional, and so I'm sorry about it cutting out. I'm trying not to. I'm rambling and drawing at the same time. Anyway, what was it? That night, Sylvester McCoy made his first public appearance anywhere after having been named the new Doctor. So all we had was an actor. We didn't know anything about his character. We didn't know anything about his costume. Just that this was the new guy, and I've got the microphone boosted. I've got the level boosted up as far as it can go. I don't know what's going on here. Audio is such a black art anyway. But anyway, Sylvester McCoy came over from London and made his first appearance anywhere as the new Doctor on the Georgia Public Television Begathon that night. And I remember I took him pizza because we would do the Begathon segments, and then we would all, when we were off the air, when the show was running, we would all go up into the studio, outside the studio, and there was pizza. But Sylvester had to stay behind answering the phones because they had this thing where if you pledged, like $120, $10 a month, you'd get a call back from the new Doctor. And so he's in there answering phones, and I realized, wait a minute, I wonder if he's had anything to eat. Because he had said he had just gotten off the plane, and so I grabbed some pizza and I took it in there, and I said, Mr. McCoy, I don't know if you've had a chance to eat. I thought I'd bring you something. Oh, I was absolutely famished. Thank you so much. And we chatted for a few minutes, and he said, well, I have to get back to answering the phones. And I understand. Enjoyed the pizza, and I went off. And that was my Sylvester McCoy story. I've always wondered. He comes to Dragon. I think I think he's in. I think he's in
coming to DragonCon. Yeah, I know, Mark, about the volume. I'm looking at my volume here, and I've got it boosted all the way, and there's nothing no more I can put into it. I just don't have any more oomph to give it, and it is low. It is low. I recognize that because in the past. Well, there's your problem. The phantom power is acting up. That should be about as bright as David Tennant's sonic screwdriver. And I don't know what's going on. Yep, that is the right wall wart. Well, you know, what can I say? It's a cheap Chinese. And it's not like I can just grab another wall wart. This thing is supposed to be outputting 18 volts. Well, no. I mean, I don't. No way that I can know if things are going wrong unless you tell me, because I can't monitor my own audio here. I just can't do that. Oh boy. You know, what can I say? Of course, they call back right when I'm in the middle of the show. Wouldn't you know it? Okay, well, phantom power for those who just asked. Phantom power is a way of powering and operating microphones that provides 48 volts to the microphone. And yes, that was basically with almost no phantom power. Hold on a second. I do have a backup, and I don't like using it, but I can. And this should be a little bit better. Oh, there we go. Yeah, hold on a second. Okay, there. What I did was I switched over to the microphone from on the webcam up here, this one. So, you know, I used to have a headset microphone. James Rouse suggested that I consider a headset microphone. That's not really the problem. The problem is that you know, it's cheap Chinese electronics. What can I say? What can I say? Yeah, sorry about that. I had to lower the volume here a little bit more. Let me try and. There we go. That should be a little better. I really like the sound from this microphone. It's just not. And I really don't like the sound from the webcam microphone.
because it's just kind of yeah. But you know, you got to do what you got to do. Okay, so back to drawing. Yeah, well, I mean, 20 dB. I mean, that's what Phantom Power gets you is about 20 dB. That's about right. So anyway, where was I? Oh, I was drawing Lenny. I was inking Lenny. Now, I'm too cheap to eat off China. I eat off paper plates. Of course, the food I usually eat out of a bag, so. This is an odd angle for Lenny. I don't normally draw Lenny straight on. It kind of reminds me of a story. Charles Schulz was watching Bill Melendez working on Charlie Brown Christmas, and he was watching, and he was animating a scene with Snoopy, and he said. He watched Melendez draw a frame of Snoopy, and he said, "I don't draw Snoopy like that." Melendez said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I don't draw Snoopy like that. I never draw Snoopy from that angle." And Melendez said, "Okay, all right." And then he drew another frame, and Schulz said, "I don't draw Snoopy from that angle." And this went on for a few frames, and then Melendez flipped. Took the frames that he drew and flipped them so that he riffled them, is what it's called, riffling. And Snoopy was turning, and he said, "Oh," and finally, and Schulz understood. Okay, this is different. So I don't draw Lenny from every angle. If I was animating him, I probably would, but I don't. I draw him usually from very limited, very specific angles, and the same thing for the other characters as well. Most Bigfoot artists do that. If you think about it, you know, most comic strip characters, you only ever see specific angles. And it looks weird when you see them out of that angle. So that's why Lenny looks weird here, is because I never draw him from this angle. I really don't want to draw our bed nab with this nib at that size, because that's just asking for a big blob of ink. Because I've got I don't know if you can see, this thing's just dirty, and I need to clean it. So I'm going to move this out of the way first, because I don't want to get glass cleaner all over my artwork. I love this, the fact that ammonia just dissolves India ink. There we go. And that just gets all that buildup off of there. It probably is destroying this nib, but you know what? I don't care. It's the nibs are relatively inexpensive, and I have a whole box of them. So, okay, back to Doctor Who. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm cool with it. I just wanted to see good stories. I was very disappointed, not with Peter Capaldi. I was very disappointed, well, with Stephen Moffat, that the stories that he got for Capaldi weren't that good up until just recently. And I really didn't care that much for most of this last season until really this the Cyberman arc that they just did. And yeah, it probably is a promotion gimmick. Doctor Who's numbers have been falling steadily for years. Maybe with Chris Chibnall coming in and taking over, it's gonna reboot the show, which is what it needs. My dog is going nuts over here, just kind of rolling around on the floor, as dogs do. But so there is going to be that element of a promotional gimmick to it. But from what I've seen, she's an excellent actress. We are getting a new creative team on the show, so I'm going to be optimistic about it. Yeah, I agree with you, Tom. It has been, the companions trying to be the Doctor. Clara, that was kind of the whole. Well, Clara, don't even get me started on her. I never warmed up to her. I never liked her. I never really did. I mean, yeah, she's cute, but that's, it just, the whole idea of her as being, this person who was split up over time and then had been protecting the Doctor, and then when Matt Smith regenerates, that's all dropped. Because I guess she didn't get clued in on protecting the 12th Doctor. Her contract only went up to 11. And Moffat, you're right. When Moffat was great, when he was great, he was great. He did some great stuff. He kept going back to River Song, which come on, guys, let's move on. She was a great character, I know, and everybody loved her, but let's move on to something else. I'm tired of seeing River Song every year. And Moffat, remember before he, and this is what got him the gig, he did Blink. He wrote The Doctor Dances and What was the second part of that episode? Are You My Mummy? What was the second part of that episode? You know what I'm talking about. And the Pandorica opens, and so yeah, so he was doing great stuff. He could do great stuff, but I think that it just he kept falling back on some tropes. He kept if I never see the Paternoster Gang again, it will be way too soon. If it's just some of the episodes, like that one where the moon was the giant egg. Pardon my French, but what the hell was that? Yeah, it was Captain Jack was in. It was the episode that introduced Captain Jack. It was the Doctor dances the something child. The Empty Child. That's it. The Empty Child. I knew it would come to me. Yeah, and Tom, just so you know, I came up with it before I looked over and saw your comment. So and going back to the Weeping Angels were a great monster, and you should come back to them. But he kept going back to them and kept going back to them, kept going back to that well, and that's my gripe with and. I gotta give him give Moffat props for trying to build something with the 12th Doctor. I'm gonna let this ink dry here for a few minutes, because this was kind of what they were going to do. What they were trying to do with Colin Baker's Doctor was make him unlikable and kind of like Tom, and then let him grow, and then he'll be more like me at the end of his time. I'm going to pay for that. I know I'm going to pay for that. But of course, he with Baker, they ran out of time. With Capaldi, they were able to do it, and I thought it was, what the heck was that? So anyway, so what do I think about Jodie Whittaker? I think it's great. I think she's going to be a good doctor. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with her. I'm hoping that this is a breath of fresh air, because every time that you get a new doctor, should be a reboot. The Doctor Who is a very different show now than it was when it came back, when it was Eccleston, and that's the way it should be. And I've got ink all over my hands, so I'm trying to be very careful with the artwork here. And all my paper towels are over at the other table, so I can't clean off. They are all over at the other table. It's kind of funny when Jodie Whittaker. When first thing I thought was Family Affair, because if you remember, Johnny Whittaker played Jodie on that show. It was the name of his character. So that's just American kid growing up in the 70s. When I hear Jodie Whittaker, that's what I thought of was Family Affair. I know it has nothing to do with Family Affair, but it's just those associations. And then later Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. But anyway, Silurians and the Sea Devils. Anyway, so that's what I think. I don't really, I just want to see good stories. I want to see good stories, and I was very disappointed with the Capaldi era that there weren't good, strong stories. there were in the Matt Smith era, and I think it's that. I think Moffat was kind of burned out. It was kind of like what happened to Star Trek back in the 90s. Star Trek: Next Generation came out, and it sucked. Okay, let's just be honest. Let's just lay it out there. It sucked. But it had good characters, and people started to like it because it was Star Trek. Star Trek was back, and it sucked because of Roddenberry. But once Roddenberry got out of the way, and were able to start doing good stuff, like in the second season, don't even, that's scary. The only clip show in Star Trek history, second season. Was that Shades? Yeah, Shades of Grey. That was the title of it. But then third season, Roddenberry is ill, and he's not really, and his lawyer is thrown off the set, and they're able to actually start getting some good stuff done. And you get episodes like Yesterday's Enterprise and Best of Both Worlds. And fourth season, it just keeps going better and better. And no, second season sucked because they had problems with the Writers Guild because there was a strike, and so the scripts couldn't be as refined as they should have been. The second season really, and Diana Muldaur, that was a big mistake. Anyway, so third season, fourth season, fifth season, they're really starting to get their stride, and then they launch Deep Space Nine, and they cut their creative staff in half, and half of it went to Deep Space Nine, half of it went to Next Generation, and the people that went over to Deep Space Nine were just as important as the people who'd stayed on Next Generation, and neither show wasn't as good as it should have been, because they had this core group of people that were very familiar with Star Trek, and now they were split up across two shows, and they kept that up all through Voyager. And I think that's what happened to Voyager. Voyager could have been so much more. It should have been so much more. And I don't blame the cast. The cast did the best they could with the material they were given. Voyager should have been renamed. Should have been named Star Trek Reset Button. But yeah, they were split up. So I think that's what happened with Doctor Who, under the Moffat era, is that he was trying to get doing Sherlock, as well as trying to show run Doctor Who. And yeah, I know Sherlock it's only 3 episodes, but it's like with Faulty Towers, there's so much in those 3 episodes. It's a whole season's worth of show running in those 3 episodes. So it was a lot to take on, and I really think they took off more than they could. I really did. With Doctor Who and Sherlock running at the same time, and I think Doctor Who suffered for it, because you really didn't see Doctor Who kind of going down until Sherlock became very popular and very important to the BBC. Because we've got Benedict Cumberbatch, we got to keep him here. So anyway, how about an American Doctor Who? I have a very funny long story about that I will go into one day. We'll save that one for another day. Well, Torchwood and Sarah Jane, those were Russell Davis. Yeah, and it was kind of towards the end of Russell Davis's tenure, and he wasn't. I don't think he wasn't as involved with Torchwood. I mean, he was involved, but he wasn't as involved as Moffat has been with Sherlock. He handed that off to other writers, and he was not running the writers' room for those shows. So I don't. That's why. And also remember, at the end of the Tennant's era, they only did the 4 specials. They didn't do a full season. But if you look at that last season with Donna, those are some of the best Tennant episodes. Those ones with Donna, and again, it was part of the idea of having this companion who goes from this shrill shrew into somebody that when what happens to her, it's a mess. It's a major tragedy. And again, it was more tropes. There was always some tragic ending. What is it with the tragic endings for the companions since the show has ended? Rose, Martha, Donna, Amy Pond, Clara Oswald, and Bill Potts. All of them had these massive traumas at the end of their time. What is up with that? It used to be they would just say "Toodaloo, Doctor," and off they would, and they would just walk out of the TARDIS. Well, except for Tegan. Tegan, that was. But that made it. When Tegan left, that much more dramatic, because anyway, if you haven't seen the episode, it's what episode? Oh, Revelation of the Daleks. That's it. Revelation of the Daleks. So anyway, Jodie Whittaker. Looking forward to seeing what she does. I'm looking forward to this Christmas special, where apparently it's going to be tying back into the 10th Planet, which was the original Regeneration episode, the last episode when William Hartnell regenerated into Patrick Troughton, and so now they've got David Bradley playing the first Doctor that's going to be with the 12th Doctor. So I'm really looking forward to that. Two grumpy, crotchety old men. So anyway, so that's that. Yeah. Martha married Mickey. That was a tragedy. That really was. Okay, so. I'm going to take off my glasses here and go back to drawing. Whoops. There we go. Let's see. Okay, wait a minute. There we go. A little bit of keyboard bounce here. Okay, glasses are over there. If I forget where my glasses are, remind me they're over there. I think this ink is dry. I can put my hand on it. Yeah, that's dry. All right. And I just realized this has still got light pencils on it. I did not pencil. I don't know why I didn't pencil this panel. So, yeah, he did. He did a fantastic job as Hartnell. And I thought, it worked. Reese Shearsmith played Troughton right at the very end of that movie. If you're not familiar with what Tom and I are talking about here, for the 50th anniversary, Mark Gatiss, is it Gatiss or Gatiss? It's Gatiss. Gatiss made a TV movie for the BBC called Adventures in Time and Space, and it's about how Doctor Who got made, how the show was launched, and it stars Brian Cox plays Sidney Newman, who is the BBC executive who commissions the series, And then David Bradley plays William Hartnell, and Jessica Rain, who is in the episode. Oh, what was the one with the ghosts? Anyway, she was in that episode with Matt Smith, and she plays Verity Lambert, who was the first producer of Doctor Who, and the first female. Well, they called them producers back then, but we would call them now showrunner. In the parlance of our times, as the dude would say. And it was really good. Turns out it was the last BBC production to be filmed at Broadcasting's Television Center before it was decommissioned. Which I would have loved to have gone over there and seen that, because not only we were talking about the headquarters of the BBC or BBC Television, so as a TV nerd I would have loved it, but it was all this 1950s, early 60s era mid-century modern architecture and furnishings in the building, so I would have really geeked out on that too. And the movie had there were some cameos in there. There was a cameo of oh geez, I'm drawing a blank on the actor's name. Played Chesterton, Ian Chesterton, William. Oh gosh, I'm really losing my geek cred. I know one of you will come up with it. And then Carol Ann Ford. See, I remembered that one, who'd originally played Susan, the doctor's granddaughter. She had a small cameo in there as well. Yeah, Ian Chesterton was the character. The actor's name, William. Oh man, it sucks getting old. William Russell. Thank you, Tom. I knew somebody would come up with it. I was just drawing a blank on William Russell. You're right. He plays the valet, the doorman at Television Center that exchanges some words with Sidney Newman. But well, who beat me? Yeah, thanks, Tom. I got it. Okay, my glasses are not over there anymore. They are now over here. Oh, I know what went wrong with this page. I accidentally got some Copic ink in here. I hope that will scan out. That should scan out with the color. Should be able to when I convert it to black and white, I should be able to get rid of that. But yeah, Mark Gatiss did a TV movie about it, and it was, I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Going into so check it out. It's available. I know it's available on iTunes. It may be on Amazon Prime. I bought it, so I bought it, and anyway, it's very good. I mean, they recreate the famous scene of the Daleks on Westminster Bridge, recreate the original pilot episode of Doctor Who, which was never aired, in which the TARDIS doors keep opening, and because TV, especially in the UK, TV production was very different back then. Here in the US, we tend to do, except for, we tend to do what's called single, or we did at the time, what's called single camera, where basically you have a single camera. And in the 50s, a lot of television was multiple camera, where you would have multiple cameras, and they would be switched electronically on the air, like a sporting event, or like this show. Like, I've got two cameras here. I got this camera. Hi, hello. This is camera 1, and then stand by to take camera 2. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right, because you got to do this way when you're writing. Stand by on 2 and take 2. Take 2. There we go. There we go. And and then you have screw-ups like that happen. Oh boy, that's really impressive. How long have you been doing this, John? James, that was a Robin Williams joke, wasn't it? Wasn't that on Reality? What a Concept. I remember my grandfather said, my grandfather said before he died, he said, "Son," and he made this funny noise, I remember. Okay, so multi-camera, and then and that's how most television was done up until the in the 60s here in the U.S. Shows, especially dramas and sitcoms, went to a single camera mode, or film style. And if you think about most sitcoms from the 60s, they're all single camera. And it wasn't until it was All in the Family, actually, that brought back multi-camera shooting for sitcoms, which is why you would hear the phrase "All in the Family" was filmed in front of a live studio audience, because you would have laugh tracks that would be put in the post-production process. And I thought that was a Robin Williams show. Yeah, that was on Reality. What a Concept, as I recall, which we have talked about. We've rambled about that album. Speaking of Robin Williams, we all think of the news that Will Smith is going to play the genie in the live-action version of Aladdin. What do you think about a live-action version of Aladdin? Did we really need this? Was the world really crying out for a live-action version of Aladdin? And apparently there's going to be a live-action version of The Lion King, too. Disney needs to just rename themselves the Disney Dairies, because they milk everything, whether it has an udder or not. But okay, yeah. So Doctor Who was filmed multi-camera in a television studio with multiple cameras, and it was filmed basically like a stage play. And was just run live. And the original pilot is funny. If you've never seen it, go see if you can find it. Hartnell was infamous for blowing his lines, and but they couldn't stop, so they just plowed on through it. And there's one scene where the TARDIS doors open, and you see the technicians scrambling to get them closed, and now that never ended up on air because somehow they were allowed to remount the production and do it again. Oh, that's right. There is a live action Dumbo coming out. Good grief. I don't know about a Tim Burton. Anything from Tim Burton nowadays, he's just so derivative of himself. There used to be a time when I heard Tim Burton, I'm there, because he was the most imaginative filmmaker working in mainstream films. I love Beetlejuice. I love Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Batman. Ed Wood. I loved Ed Wood. I remember when Martin Landau won the Academy Award for it. I thought, Commander Koning? Anyway. But he's just become a caricature of himself, and is Johnny Depp going to play Timothy Mouse in this? All right, I want that. Some water here. Where's my water? There it is. Yeah, where's my glasses? Here they are. I know, they were over there. Yeah, I think my favorite Tim Burton film was Ed Wood. I loved Ed Wood's films. I just get this love of his stuff. Oh, that's obscure, Tom. That is really obscure. Oh, brother. Oh, bother. Um, that's good. That's good. Crow will pay. He'll pay a crow with a human on his head. Um, yeah, Edward Scissorhands was another favorite that I liked. I just, but his latest stuff. Charlie and Willy Wonka. Was it called Willy Wonka or was it Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? I can't remember if they used the original title or not. I felt like I wanted to take a shower after that. Johnny Depp in that was just, what was he doing? Why did they let him do that? Um, that was the kind of people that they issue Amber Alerts about. It was just, ugh. Um, and yeah, Martin Landau was fantastic in that. Well, so was Johnny Depp. So was Sarah Jessica Parker in playing Dolores Fuller. Patricia Arquette, Jeffrey Jones, who is a real life sex offender, playing Criswell. He was great. Bill Murray was hilarious as Bunny Breckenridge in that movie. He was just absolutely hilarious. Yeah, it was kind of Michael Jackson and Marilyn Manson as Willy Wonka, and I didn't need to see that because I had Gene Wilder. I was lucky to have Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka growing up. So I didn't need to see that. So, but I'm just not. I heard Dumbo. It's like, oh boy, do you need the paycheck that bad, Tim? Do you really need the paycheck that bad? Are you that desperate? Because if you are, I'm sure we might be able to scrape. Go do a GoFundMe instead of doing this. So, yeah, George the Animal Steel as Tor Johnson. He was great as Tor. No, it was a great cast, and I love that they made it in black and white. It should have been in black and white. It was just it was a great. I really enjoyed it, but his later films like Planet of the Apes. Mark Wahlberg as an astronaut. Yeah, I buy that one. As much as I buy Helena Bonham Carter as a monkey. Tim Burton didn't really do. He produced that movie. He didn't direct that movie. That was Henry Selick, who directed Nightmare Before Christmas. Tim Burton wrote the story and produced it, but he didn't direct it. He hasn't really directed anything since or directed any animation since the short he did called Frankenweenie, which was about a little boy that was obsessed with Vincent Price and brought his dog back to life after he was run over by a car. And that's what got him into doing the feature films. Sorry, I need to check the leash here because I'm having some problems with a piece of software, and of course, and somebody stole my credit card today because I had this authorization for $500 from a truck customization company in British Columbia. Right. And I called them. They had no. They said, "Well, we don't have that. We don't have that in our records, so it's obviously fraudulent." So I got to get YouTube and. Yes, Vincent Price did narrate Frankenweenie. That's what set up the relationship that allowed him to be at the beginning of the prologue to Edward Scissorhands. So anyway, okay. Well, it's 10 after 11. So I'll apologize for the audio problem that we had, and we're still having, because some of this audio is very, very loud. At least I don't have the problem of when I tap the desk, the whole thing shakes like we had on Friday night. But Friday night was a very good experiment, and we'll do that again. We'll do some more stuff over there. I just need to get the equipment tied down a little better, and I think the Picardo, doing a Picardo is really gonna help that a lot, because that seemed to stream a lot better and it was a lot smoother, and it didn't have the latency problems. But it's more of a kludge than I've got with going to YouTube. But I don't know why. It just makes no sense. But streaming is a black box anyway. All of this stuff is a black box. You don't know. Nobody knows what's really going on inside these things. You really don't. But Picardo seemed to work out, and like I said, it's got some definite advantages that YouTube doesn't give me, like not moving the goalposts every 5 minutes when it comes to monetization. So remember that URL. Let me bring that back up real quick. bit.ly/nightlydraw. There it is, right there. That URL, where it will always take you to, if we're going to do the move, if we're going to do a test over on Picardo or Twitch or wherever, I will go into Bitly and change that URL shortener, that shortcut, so that it always points to where we're going to be doing the nightly draw for that night. So you can always use that URL. Give that to your friends. Let them know about this. Let them know about the speed draw, and then I'm going to do more of those. Right, Vincent. Yes, Vincent. That's right. I thought he did make one called Frankenweenie. Anyway, will you be able to make idiotic comments on Picardo? Yes, there is a chat system built into it, so it'll work just like this. You'll have a page. You'll be a chat section over to the side, so you can chat. And again, there's some advantages to it. One is, like I said, the monetization options are much more favorable. Another one is that I can flag the content of the show as being not safe for work. So if potentially could work on some of the adult stuff, and you would be able to know ahead of time whether it's going to be something you may want to avoid. So again, it is very much more oriented towards artists. It's designed for artists, which is an advantage over Twitch. Twitch is for gamers, and while I'm sure there are people who are using it for doing a live draw like this. I like the idea of being on a system that is oriented towards this. If I was doing a game, that would be different. We'd be on Twitch. So keep an eye. Just start using this to come here to the show, and that will always take you to wherever it's going to be, whatever service it's on, whatever. That's where it'll be. So, okay. Well, is there any other questions? Any other comments? There's about a 25-second lag here, so I ask the question, and then I have to vamp until I see that you've heard me ask the question and get a response. So here we go. Just kind of just rambling along for 25, 30 seconds. 25 to 30 seconds is a long time in broadcasting. It really is. You have no idea, especially when you don't have anything planned and you have no script and you have to make it up. 30 seconds is an eternity. And so, like I said, I'm waiting for that to show up over there. Trying to think if there's anything else. We'll have, hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have shop.accidentalcentaurs.com available so that you can order the new comic book. It's available. It will be available. It's gonna. I think I'm going to sell it for. I think it's going to be $5 plus shipping. And I'll see if I can put a thing there where if you want to. Do a drawing of a character or something on the cover, inside the cover, because the inside cover has a blank page. I can do that. So I guess that's it. So all right. So I guess we're going to call it at an hour and 16 minutes. Not bad. All right. So, Who versus Trek monsters. All right, well, be thinking about which Who monsters and which Trek monsters you want. And we'll go from there. All right. So, we're going to call it going once, going twice, and we're clear. All right, that's it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel from here, Studio A, Worldwide Broadcast Operations Center at stately Lotshaw Manor. Doctor Who versus Star Trek tomorrow on Total Request Tuesday. Mark your calendars. Tell your friends. Tell your relatives. Tell your friends who are Star Trek fans or Doctor Who fans. Seriously, let them know. Tell them to get their keisters over here and watch, because it's going to be fun. All right, that's it. Good night. Drive safely, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.